Think about the person who hurt you most, the one whose face still appears when you close your eyes, the one whose words still echo in your mind years later, the one who broke something inside you that you're still trying to repair. You hate them. You resent them. You wish you'd never met them. You replay what they did over and over, wondering why it happened to you. You've tried to forget them, to move on, to heal, but somehow they're still there, living rent-free in your head, still affecting your choices, still shaping your fears. What if I told you that this person is your greatest teacher? Not in some toxic positivity way that dismisses your pain, not in some spiritual bypass that pretends what they did was okay, but in a deep psychological truth that Carl Jung spent his entire life uncovering. The people who wound us carry messages we desperately need to hear. The relationships that break us reveal exactly what needs to be healed. The enemies we create are often mirrors showing us our own unexamined depths. This isn't about forgiving them before you're ready. This isn't about excusing their behavior. This is about extracting the gold from the wreckage, about refusing to let your pain be meaningless, about transforming the worst things that happened to you into the fuel for who you're becoming. Today, I'm going to show you why the people who hurt you most are carrying your greatest lessons.
How to decode what your painful relationships are actually revealing, and how to alchemize your deepest wounds into your most profound wisdom. This will be uncomfortable. Looking at our wounds always is. But on the other side of this discomfort is a freedom that most people never taste. The freedom of understanding, the freedom of integration, the freedom of finally learning the lesson so you don't have to keep repeating the class. Before we begin, drop this affirmation in the comments. My wounds carry wisdom. Let's decode what your pain is trying to teach you. The first teaching your enemies bring is the revelation of your shadow. The traits that trigger you most intensely in others are often the traits you've rejected in yourself.
This is Jung's concept of projection, and it's one of the most powerful psychological insights ever discovered. You didn't just randomly choose to hate certain people. You hate them because they embody something you've disowned, something you've buried in your shadow, something you cannot accept in yourself, so you attack it in others. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This isn't comfortable to hear. You want to believe that your hatred is pure, that your enemies are simply evil, that your disgust is justified by their objectively terrible behavior. But psychology doesn't work that way. The intensity of your reaction reveals the depth of your projection. The more someone triggers you, the more they're showing you something about your own rejected self. Think about the person who hurt you. What specifically do you hate about them? Their selfishness? Their cruelty? Their manipulation? Their dishonesty? Their neediness? Their arrogance? Now ask yourself the terrifying question. Where does that same trait live in me? Not in the same way, not to the same degree, but somewhere in your shadow, that quality exists. You've pushed it underground because it was unacceptable. You've denied it so completely that you've forgotten it's there. And now it's erupting as intense hatred towards someone who dares to embody what you've forbidden in yourself. The narcissist who hurt you may be revealing your own denied need for admiration. The manipulator who used you may be revealing your own capacity for control. The person who abandoned you may be revealing how you abandon parts of yourself. This doesn't excuse their behavior. What they did may have been genuinely wrong, but your intense reaction to it is information about you, not just about them. Your enemies are shadow teachers. They walk into your life carrying mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself you've refused to see. The teaching isn't what they did. The teaching is what your reaction reveals about your own unintegrated depths. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My triggers reveal my shadow. The second teaching your enemies bring is the exposure of your wounds. The people who hurt you most often target wounds that already existed. They didn't create your pain, they found it. They located the exact spot where you were already vulnerable and pressed on it. This sounds cruel, and often it was, but it also reveals something essential. The wound was there before they arrived. They just made you aware of it. Jung understood that we attract experiences that match our unconscious content. This isn't victim blaming, it's pattern recognition. Until a wound is healed, we keep attracting situations that activate it. Until a lesson is learned, we keep enrolling in the same class with different teachers.
Think about the patterns in your painful relationships. Have different people hurt you in similar ways? Have you experienced the same type of betrayal more than once? Have you found yourself in the same dynamic repeatedly, wondering why this keeps happening to you? The common denominator is not bad luck. It's an unhealed wound that keeps attracting its match. The universe isn't punishing you. Your unconscious is trying to get your attention. It keeps creating situations that expose the wound because the wound needs to be healed. The person who abandoned you found your abandonment wound, the one that was created long before they arrived, probably in childhood.
The person who betrayed you found your betrayal wound, the one that taught you trust was dangerous. The person who criticized you found your shame wound, the one that already believed you weren't good enough. They didn't create these wounds, they revealed them. And in revealing them, they gave you the opportunity to finally heal them. This is why running from painful people doesn't work. You can leave the relationship, but you bring the wound with you, and the wound will attract its match again and again until you address it directly. Your enemies are wound revealers. They show you exactly where you're still bleeding. The teaching isn't what they did. The teaching is what their actions exposed about your own unhealed history.
Drop this affirmation in the comments. They found what was already wounded. The third teaching your enemies bring is the lesson of boundaries. Many of the people who hurt you were able to do so because you let them. Not because you deserved it, not because you asked for it, but because you didn't have the boundaries that would have stopped them. This is painful to admit. It's easier to focus entirely on their wrongdoing than to examine your own role in allowing access. But Jung understood that we are not merely victims of our circumstances. We are participants in them, often unconsciously. Think about the relationship where you were hurt most. Were there warning signs you ignored? Were there moments when you could have walked away, but didn't? Were there boundaries you should have set, but couldn't? Were there times when your gut told you something was wrong, but you overrode it to keep the peace? This isn't about blame. This is about learning. Because if you don't understand how you allowed the harm, you can't prevent it from happening again. The person who hurt you may have been teaching you that you need stronger boundaries, that you need to trust your instincts, that you need to walk away faster when you see red flags, that you need to value yourself enough to refuse mistreatment. These lessons often can't be learned any other way. You can read about boundaries in books, you can hear about them in therapy, but until someone violates a boundary you didn't know you needed, the lesson doesn't fully land. Your enemies are boundary teachers. They show you exactly where your limits need to be stronger. They reveal where you're too permeable, too accommodating, too willing to sacrifice yourself for connection. Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely.
Complete self-acceptance includes accepting your need for protection. It includes valuing yourself enough to say no. It includes building walls where walls need to be built. The teaching isn't what they did. The teaching is what their intrusion revealed about the boundaries you need to develop. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Their violation taught me protection.
The fourth teaching your enemies bring is the development of discernment. Before you were hurt, you probably couldn't see predators clearly. You couldn't read the signs. You couldn't distinguish between genuine people and those who would use you. You were naive, and that naivete made you vulnerable. The person who hurt you educated you. They showed you what manipulation looks like from the inside. They taught you the patterns of deception, the tactics of control, the methods of exploitation. This was a painful education, but it was education nonetheless. Jung believed that consciousness comes through suffering. We don't develop awareness by having everything go well. We develop it by having things go wrong and being forced to understand why. Think about what you know now that you didn't know before the painful relationship. You can probably spot certain red flags instantly. You can feel when someone's energy is off. You can recognize the early signs of toxicity that would have been invisible to your younger self. This discernment was purchased with pain, but it's now yours forever. No one can take it from you, and it will protect you for the rest of your life. Your enemies are discernment teachers. They give you the painful experience that develops wisdom. They show you the darkness of human nature in ways that can never be forgotten.
Jung said, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. But there's another layer. Experiencing the darkness of others teaches you to recognize that darkness wherever it appears. Before you were hurt, you may have believed that most people were good, that trust was generally safe, that vulnerability wouldn't be exploited. Now you know better. You've lost your innocence, but you've gained something more valuable, the ability to see clearly. The teaching isn't what they did. The teaching is the vision they forced you to develop. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Pain gave me clarity. The fifth teaching your enemies bring is the discovery of your own strength.
You didn't know you could survive what you survived. You didn't know you had the resilience you've demonstrated. You didn't know how deep your capacity for endurance actually went until you were tested. The person who hurt you put you through a trial you never would have chosen, and you emerged. Damaged, perhaps. Changed, certainly. But still here, still breathing, still capable of moving forward. This knowledge of your own strength cannot be gained any other way. You can't know you can survive something until you've survived it. You can't know your depths until you've been forced into them. Jung called this the process of individuation, becoming who you truly are through the challenges life presents.
He understood that we don't grow in comfort, we grow in crisis. We don't become stronger by avoiding pain. We become stronger by moving through it. Think about who you are before the painful experience and who you are now. Something in you has hardened in the right way. Something in you has expanded. You have capacities now that didn't exist before. The person who tried to break you accidentally forged you. Their attacks became the hammer that shaped your steel. Their cruelty became the fire that tempered your resolve. Your enemies are strength teachers. They push you past limits you didn't know you had. They force growth that comfort would never have demanded. The teaching isn't what they did.
The teaching is what you discovered about your own capacity to endure, survive, and eventually thrive. Drop this affirmation in the comments. What tried to break me
made me unbreakable. The sixth teaching your enemies bring is the opportunity for integration. This is perhaps the deepest teaching of all. The people who hurt you create opportunities for psychological wholeness that nothing else can provide. Jung understood that we become whole by integrating opposites, light and shadow, love and hate, strength and vulnerability. The painful experiences in life force these integrations in ways that pleasant experiences never could. Before you were hurt, you may have lived in a world of simplistic categories: good people and bad people, right and wrong, trust and distrust. But real life is more complex, and your enemies taught you this complexity. The person who hurt you may have also loved you, at least in their limited way. They may have been cruel and kind, manipulative and genuine, harmful and helpful. Learning to hold these contradictions develops psychological maturity that nothing else can. You also learn to integrate the contradictions in yourself. You can be a victim and still have agency. You can be hurt and still have contributed to the dynamic. You can hate someone and still extract wisdom from knowing them. You can want revenge and still choose healing. These integrations are the work of becoming whole. And often, they can only happen through difficult relationships that force us to confront paradox and complexity. Your enemies are integration teachers. They present you with contradictions that demand to be held together. They break your simplistic categories and force you into more nuanced understanding. Jung said the most intense conflicts, if overcome, leave behind a sense of security and calm that is not easily disturbed. The resolution of the conflict your enemies created becomes a foundation of psychological stability. The teaching isn't what they did. The teaching is the integration their complexity forced you to achieve. Drop this affirmation in the comments: complexity makes me whole. The seventh teaching your enemies bring is the path to genuine compassion. This is the final and most difficult teaching, the one that can only come after all the others have been absorbed. When you truly understand why people hurt others, when you see the wounds that create wounders, when you recognize the unconsciousness that drives cruelty, something shifts. Not forgiveness exactly, something deeper, understanding, and from understanding, compassion. Jung said, everything that belongs to the individual psyche, everything that belongs to humanity as a whole, also belongs to him. The darkness in your enemy is not foreign to you. It's human. And because it's human, it's also yours in some form.
The person who hurt you was probably hurt first. Their cruelty was likely learned. Their coldness was probably a protection developed in response to their own wounds. This doesn't excuse them, but it explains them. When you can see the wounded child inside the person who wounded you, your relationship to the pain changes. You're no longer just a victim of random evil. You're a participant in the long chain of human suffering that moves from generation to generation, wound to wound, until someone finally stops it. Maybe that someone is you. Maybe your enemy taught you exactly what you needed to know to break the cycle. Maybe the pain they caused becomes the very thing that prevents you from causing similar pain.
Your enemies are compassion teachers. They show you how pain creates pain. They demonstrate the unconsciousness that drives harm. And in doing so, they give you the opportunity to develop understanding that transcends hatred. This doesn't mean you have to forgive them. Forgiveness is a personal choice, and sometimes it's not the right one. But you can understand without forgiving. You can have compassion without reconciling. You can learn the lesson without keeping the relationship. The teaching isn't what they did. The teaching is the understanding their pain revealed about the nature of human suffering itself. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Understanding transforms my pain.
You now understand the 7 teachings your enemies bring. They reveal your shadow projections. They expose your pre-existing wounds. They teach you about boundaries. They develop your discernment. They show you your own strength. They force integration of complexity. They open the door to compassion. None of this makes what happened okay. None of this erases the harm that was done. None of this means you should seek out painful relationships or stay in abusive ones. But it means your pain doesn't have to be meaningless. It means the worst experiences of your life can become the foundation for your greatest wisdom. It means you can alchemize suffering into gold if you're willing to do the work. Jung dedicated his life to this alchemy.
He believed that the goal of human development was not happiness, but wholeness. And wholeness requires integrating everything, including our most painful experiences. He said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Your enemies did what they did. That cannot be changed. But what you become in response is still being written. Every day, you choose whether to let the pain embitter you or teach you. The bitter person wastes their suffering. They carry it as a burden that weighs them down forever. They remain defined by what was done to them. They give their enemies permanent power over their identity. The wise person extracts the lesson. They mine their pain for every piece of gold it contains. They refuse to let their suffering be meaningless. They become more than what happened to them, not by denying it, but by transcending it. This is the ultimate revenge against those who hurt you. Not hatred, which keeps you connected to them. Not forgiveness, which you may never feel, but transformation. Becoming so strong, so wise, so integrated, that what they did becomes merely one chapter in a much larger story of your becoming. If this video showed you the teachers hiding in your pain, hit that like button. If you want more content on transforming suffering into wisdom, subscribe and ring the notification bell. Share this with someone who is still carrying wounds that want to become wisdom.
Jung said, "Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling." Your painful experiences don't have to remain just painful. They can become wise. They can become integrated. They can become part of a story where you're not the victim, but the hero who transformed. Your enemies thought they were destroying you. They didn't know they were teaching you. Learn the lesson. Extract the gold. Become who you were meant to be. That's the only revenge worth having.